Well, it's been said that most South Africans don't have a plan to settle debt and start investing. Even worse, some people are cashing in their retirement savings to pay off debt. Vicky Lange from Alexander Forbes joins us now to just tell us exactly why you should hold on to your retirement savings. Vicky, thanks a lot for joining us this morning. It is a growing phenomenon. We've actually seen people that would resign from their places of work, cash out on their pension funds and other benefits, and try to reapply for work once again. A sign of the telling times.
Yes, indeed. Unfortunately, it seems, bad news one after the next. So yeah, the reality is the financial situation for most South Africans does not look good. According to the Member Watch statistics that we have, you only have about 8 in 100 individuals who actually decide to preserve their money when changing jobs. So in other words, when we talk about preserving, actually keeping it in the fund, keeping it in that system so that it can continue to grow.
But of course, on the other side of it, it's the fact that some of those funds and some of those systems have been marred by some kind of controversy or reports of, I mean, I'm going to look at the PIC inquiry, for example. These are pension funds that belong to public service and public sector workers, right? So they will not trust it if it's under investigation or some form of inquiry.
Yeah, exactly. So the last thing you want is bad governance around retirement funds. I mean, I come from the environment of privately administered, or at least sitting in the private sector rather, to put it that way. And so there are very strong governance controls. We have the FSCA that obviously comes in and does audits. And, if they pick up on any findings, they obviously, investigate that further and they'll take it further. So governance is really critical. And it's important that members are active participants in their retirement funds and not just passive in terms of their involvement.
So the question then is, it looks as though consumers or employees just can no longer afford to keep up with their lifestyle and the demands of this current economic climate, so the need to cash out.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's very tempting. So you have money that's being put aside. So your employer typically will be making deductions from your salary, paying it over to a retirement fund. And so when an individual finds himself to be financially stressed, in debt, then they often, realize that there's money sitting there and they want to then potentially access that, which of course is not a good idea. That sets you back in terms of your finances to meet your future goals. Effectively, if you think about it, what you're trying to do in terms of retirement savings is to save up while you're working so that you actually have a pot of money that you can rely on to pay yourself a paycheck while you're in retirement when you no longer can actually work. And so by depleting that while in your working years, it really it causes even more financial stress later down the line.
Yeah, I hear you. With this issue around financial stress, I absolutely agree and I absolutely hear you. But in a situation where, and I'm going to go back to maybe a public sector worker, where there is controversy around it. I mean, I remember even Steinhoff was actually implicated at one stage. So that just shows you how many fingers are in the pot, right? So in that sense, how do we stop an employee from looking at those who are managing or supposedly managing their monies and seeing the inquiries that are around that and supposed to trust those people, the very ones that are in the inquiry, with their money? Does it not make sense for them to take out the money, cash in on it, and put it into some investment account that at least they've got some control over?
Yeah, so I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's that member's money, right? So they have free will to do what they want with that. So to the extent that they find themselves in financial stress and they feel that the best thing for them, based on their personal circumstances, is to actually then pay off debt, for example, that can be a rational decision. However, you do need to understand the consequences of doing that. So firstly, there are tax implications to doing that. So any money that's accessed from a fund, you pay tax, or you pay a portion over to SARS. And then the balance of that then can obviously be utilized to then settle the debt. Added to that, in the economic environment that we're in, so as soon as you have a downturn in the economic environment and you take your retirement savings out, you then miss out on future recovery. And so the situation gets worse because your money's been subjected to an economic downturn and that's affected your values. Taking it out at that point means that you've then lost the opportunity to see that recover and actually grow.
Vicky, unfortunately, it is a phenomenon, it is a growing phenomenon, and many people, as you're saying, you're warning against it, but unfortunately, many people have got this trust issue that is happening right now in the South African context. We're going to leave it there for this morning, but thanks a lot for joining us, Vicky Lange, giving us the latest there on the realities that are affecting South Africans, and that many of them are actually cashing out on their retirement funds. But on that note, let's check in with your weather center with Annette Bertha. Annette, how are we looking so far?